And welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. I am your host, Dougie Almeida from Danger Studios here in South Florida. And every Tuesday, 8 p.m., right here on our Facebook page and on Twitter, of course, at Wake Up Dougie. And first of all, let me introduce my guest. I am, first of all, my guest, my good friend, and back for the first time in several years, back to the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. Mr. Jeffrey Gurian is here today.
Jeffrey!
Dougie! Hey, how's it going, man? So good to be back with you. It's been too long.
Absolutely. Well, thank Zoom and the technology and stockholders of Zoom, as I am. And of course, one of my newer friends in the comedy. This guy is one of the hottest comedy acts in the country right now and tearing it up all over the country. Just left Canada. I don't know why he'd leave Canada to go to Vegas. Who does that? Trixx is here today.
What's up, buddy?
Woo!
Welcome, it's been a long time coming, man.
Absolutely. And we did our dose of Dougie thing on Instagram, which was a little nice. It was a fun little thing.
That's fun.
I picked up some of your followers. They started following me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
it's always good.
And of course, but now here we are. Isn't technology great, fellas?
Amazing. Thank God for the pandemic, huh?
Now it's amazing, as much as the pandemic has dealt you, Jeffrey, that you could say that you must be a true comedian of heart, because you had this thing almost take you out.
Yeah, I got it right away, Dougie. I got it way back in March when it first came out, because I like to be the first at everything. I didn't want to wait. I wound up with COVID double pneumonia.
Jesus.
Single wasn't good enough for me. I had to get the double kind, and it was insane, man. It was really a positive mindset that helped me survive, because I was sick for 2 weeks before I had to call an ambulance. I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was too intense.
How bad was it? Like?
Yeah, it was crazy. I was nauseous literally 24/7. There was nothing I could do to take away the nausea. Nothing worked. You can't throw up. Usually that works. I had night sweats, and usually when you have night sweats, the fever breaks and goes away.
Right.
But here, the fever came right back again. And I had some old-time thermometer that my great-grandmother in Russia would have made fun of. It was like one of those old glass and mercury thermometers. Like, it was embarrassing. I couldn't even read it. So I didn't know how high my fever was, which was probably a good thing. When they took me to the hospital, when the ambulance finally came, they were in hazmat suits, in shields. It was at the time when New York was the epicenter of the virus. Oh. So there was no more hospital. I mean, they were putting people in the hallway already, and they found a place for me, and they put me in a room for 2 days. I'm in isolation, and then they wheeled me into a room with 3 other very sick men, all with the virus.
Oh, that's always good.
And I don't know if they were kidding me or not, but they tell me that the guy in the bed next to me is from Wuhan, China. Wuhan, talk about a lucky break, right?
Yeah.
Wuhan, and he's coughing. He couldn't speak English, and he's coughing and choking into the air with no mask. And I'm laying right next to the guy, right? And when I express my concern to the nurse, she tells me not to worry because there's a thin curtain between us.
Yeah, because Corona can't get through that.
Yeah. Exactly. Meanwhile, she's in a fucking hazmat suit with a face shield and a mask, but I got a thin curtain. So I'm like, well, sorry, I didn't realize that if you want to, everyone should know, if you want to protect yourself from a deadly virus, you hang a thin curtain there. It's obvious.
Yes. You go to Bed Bath & Beyond and get yourself some curtain rings.
It's too bad Dr. Fauci didn't know that. The thin curtain business would have totally blown up, So when they told me I was going home, they kept me for 4 days, and they used that hydroxychloroquine on me.
Oh, really?
And it saved me, man. I'll tell you, a bunch of things saved me. First of all, I was lucky enough, I put myself on Z-Pack, because the first 2 days, I thought I had a cold. Because it starts out that way, you're sneezing and coughing, and then it went to my throat. And I always keep Z-Pack in the house, and I started. Luckily, I had 2 packs of it. You're supposed to only take it for 5 days. I took it for 10 days.
Now let me ask you a question, Trixx. Are you that prepared? Do you have Z-Pack there at your place in Vegas?
Well, I'm a doctor, so I keep shit like that on hand all the time.
You know what I mean? You know what? I didn't know that this episode was COVID survivors. Like all three of us had it.
Oh, you had it too? Oh, that's crazy.
But I had the complete opposite experience you had, to the point where I'm even questioning if I had it, because I tested positive and I felt nothing.
Wow.
I didn't feel anything. I went through, because here's the thing. After World Series, there was one day where I kind of felt, when you feel like you're catching a cold, but you don't, you haven't caught it yet.
Yeah, right. You can tell when it's coming on. You can feel.
You can tell when it's coming on. It's almost like a head cold a little bit. But if you drink, orange juice and you just, deal with it right away, it kind of goes away in like a day or two. So that's what happened. So by the time I tested on the Tuesday, I was fine. But then they said I tested positive. I never went through any of the symptoms. No loss of taste, loss of smell, chills, like none of that. I was completely fine.
Yeah.
So I didn't lose my sense of smell or taste, but the chills were so bad, they had to cover me with 4 blankets in the hospital to stop my body from shaking. And you know how normal blood pressure is 120/80? Mm-hmm. So my 80 had dropped to 42. So my circulatory system was collapsing. They found it hard to even start an IV. It was crazy. And I had to keep a very positive state of mind, because if you go into a negative state of mind, your immune system drops and you really can't fight off an infection.
Everybody starts bailing ship. Yeah.
Yeah, but so, I used to be a regular on Sirius XM radio, and Ron Bennington announced on the radio that I was in the hospital. And I started getting literally hundreds and hundreds of messages of support from people. And the comedy community made me a video, and they rallied around me. And I was too sick to answer anybody. But I want to emphasize how important kindness is when somebody is so sick. Yeah. It really means a lot. I'm a big believer in the power of prayer and the power of thought. And when so many people are focusing their energy on one thing, it really has an effect. And it did on me, I'll tell you, man. And I got messages. I mean, people like Bill Burr and Nick Kroll and John Mulaney, and just like Jim Norton, even, like, people sent me really nice messages wishing me well. And it really meant a lot. And nurses would come by and they sat on, they take my hand and they'd be like, "You're going to make it. Don't worry. You're going to be okay." My breathing stayed at 95 to 96% because of the Z-Pak and the hydroxychloroquine. And they were able to send me home in 4 days. But I was sick for 2 months, man.
Well, see, you had a different experience with COVID as now. I was kind of in the middle a little bit, because I had it in June, and unlike Trixx here, I did lose my sense of smell and my taste for a little while. But other than that, I was not suffering as you were, and thank God, because Jeffrey, your friends in the comedy world came to your aid. Here in South Florida, the comedy scene, I had somebody accuse me of trying to kill everybody at the open mic I went to.
You gotta love comics, man. You gotta love them. You gotta love them.
There's a different level of compassion for you being sick and me having it.
It was so interesting to me, because it's a shame that people have to be so sick to find out that people care about you. Yeah. In our everyday life, we don't often express that to people, that they're important to us. But at that moment, I have to tell you, kindness is a very powerful thing. When the ambulance guys came to pick me up, one of them took my hand and he said to me, "Don't worry, you're going to make it. You're going to be okay." And that started, I was in really bad shape by the time they came, because I also had a heart thing like 5 years ago. I had a stupid heart attack and I had to have a stent put in, which came out of nowhere. I had never been sick in my life. But again, positive thinking is what helped me to get through it. I was joking with them, man. When they took me home, they wrapped me in sheets and they covered my face. And I'm like, take the cover off my face. People are going to think I passed away. Yeah. When you wheel me into my building, And then when the ambulance guys took me into my apartment and they saw all the pictures on the walls, they wound up hanging out for about 20 minutes asking me, "Hey, tell me about Kevin Hart. Tell me about DL," And I was like, "Guys, I'm a little bit tired. I just got out of the hospital." But
I just shook COVID, everybody.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience, and it still doesn't feel real to me. Like,
did you ever have the clouded mind? Because when I had the cloudy mind, I had like a little while there where
I have that all the time. I don't know if it's from that. I forget a lot of shit. It's like, By the way, I forgot to ask you, what's the language like on the show? I don't want to say wrong things. Do you
I
like
don't,
it clean?
yeah, I don't think I don't think I have to worry about that. I don't
No,
think I don't have
I'm
to,
clean. I'm
I
usually
don't
very
think
clean.
Jeffrey. I don't think you're going to cross the line with the right, Trixx. So far, you just met Jeffrey, right, Trixx, and now you could he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to be throwing out all kinds of nonsense and stuff.
You just beat COVID. I think you've earned a couple of shits and fucks.
No, it's because you know what? This afternoon I had to do a Zoom show for the doctors at Temple University, and I don't know if you've done any Zoom shows. You know what it's like? It's like standing on a highway and yelling out jokes to passing cars. You know, like, "Hey, have you heard this one?" Or like, "Zoom." It's like it's ridiculous to try to compare, and not everyone has their camera on, so you're performing to black boxes, which is basically horrible. But I
Yeah.
had to do all clean material. So I had to really, it had to be squeaky clean because it's doctors and the whole staff of the university. And so I'm in that mindset. And that's why I thought to ask you
Good
about
stuff. Great set. By the way, great topic of comedy. Clean set. You got a clean set, Trixx?
I do, if I
Yeah.
need it. I don't like performing clean though.
Right? It's like it's kind of like I mean, it's fun sometimes if you do it and it goes well, but
I get it. I get it because it's necessary for television, and obviously there are places where if you're a corporate comic, then yeah, I get it. But I don't like being limited. I don't like being told how to do comedy. You know what I mean? Like I kind of like being myself. And sometimes if I want to express something and I want to say the word shit, I'll say it. If you're just swearing just to swear, then I mean I'm not talking about those comics. There's just sometimes in the context of what you're talking about.
right.
If you're expressing something, that's fine. But I don't have anything against being clean because, like I said, you need it for television. You need it for the late night shows. You should have a clean set in your arsenal if you want to kind of make it in this business.
Exactly. And sometimes you have to please your audience. If I had done stuff that was edgy today or used some F-bombs to those people, they wouldn't appreciate it. It wouldn't go over well.
Right.
It would spoil my relationship with the dean of the school. I thought it was very cool that he asked. But I have to tell you, Trixx, that what I liked about the stuff I saw that you did, I like that you do ethnic humor because to me, comedy is a healing force and it brings everybody together. Like I was the opening act for the Martin Luther King Comedy Festival. And I was the only white dude on stage. It was in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Jesus.
And I was about to close and I asked the audience, I said, "Hey, are you guys into racial humor?" And they all said yes. And I did some stuff and they liked it. They loved it actually. And I got off the stage and then I went back on the stage and I said, "I need the mic for a minute." And I said, I wanted to do a special thank you to the audience for being so cool because I'm like, that's what brings people together when we can laugh at ourselves and laugh at each other and not be offended because you know that it's coming from a good place.
Right.
I just feel, and I totally echo everything you're saying. I agree with you. Comedy is not just a release for the audience though. It's also a release for us. Like sometimes, especially during this pandemic, man, I don't know how any of you guys felt when if you've done any shows during this pandemic, but just that feeling of, it being your world on stage. The stage is your world and you're kind of letting people enter this world of yours, but they're relating to your thoughts as well. And I've always found that fascinating about comedy. So comedy is a release for comics too. You know what I mean? It's a breath of fresh air for us as well.
Well, it's like it's something you just said. It's not like, listen, if I'm doing it for the money, then I'm doing it. I got to listen to what the person wants me to do on stage. But if I'm doing it because this is my voice, this is what I want. This is what I want to put out there right now. This is how I'm feeling. These are the things that I've inspired about.
Right.
Otherwise, what am I doing it for? I might as well be a guy, spinning, twirling, bowling pins and shit, and doing magic tricks at that point.
I've always said it's interesting because I've watched, I was watching, this documentary back in the day. It's called I Am Comic. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it. Was it Richard Snyder? That was the main comic in it. But he said that you could be a comic that is followed to other clubs, or you can just be a comic that when they come out, they just know you like for that show you just did, or you know what I'm saying? So the comics who are followed to other clubs is clearly the ones that were memorable on stage. Like they did something that resonated with people in the audience. And then people go home and they look you up on YouTube. They want to know who you are and see you perform again. And then there's the other comics that, okay, you were just one of 8 comics on the show. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, well, it's great if you can stand out. I just admire people who do that, who like, it's one of the reasons that I always admire Russell Peters. I always use him as an example. He's got a very multi-ethnic audience. He imitates every accent. Everybody loves it. And I think of him as like the messiah of comedy. Lisa Lampanelli used to do it when she was doing that kind of comedy. She'd make fun of every group, starting with herself. She made so much fun of gay people, but that was her biggest charity, was donating money to gay causes, and they loved her. And so to me, it's a very special opportunity in comedy to bring people together. I was in Atlanta once, and I had done the Improv, and I wanted to do another set when I was down there. So I called Shauntae Wayans, because the whole Wayans family is from Georgia. And she's
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
from Atlanta. So I said to her, can you get me a set? She goes, so she calls me back. She goes, I got you a set, but I don't know if you're going to want to do it. And I'm like, why? She goes, it's Uptown Comedy Corner on Sunday night.
Oh.
And she goes, yeah,
Oh.
exactly.
Oh.
Goes, a lot of black comics won't even go there. I'm like, I'm doing it. So I walked in there dressed like I usually do. The whole club turned around to look at me when I walked.
Oh, God. Did you perform?
Yeah, I performed, and I did racial humor there too. And they walked me to my car to make sure that I got there safely. But
it
was a great experience. It was a great experience, and again, I always thank people for that, for being.
I respect you for doing it.
It was I needed to. I had to do it. They told me afterwards they thought that I was a Hollywood producer who was there looking for talent.
I would like if I feel like if I walked in a room with you, Jeff. I've always said, 'cause I remember I met Jeff at World Series. This is like when World Series was in the Tuscany. You know, kind of the last times it was in Vegas, it was at the Tuscany. And I remember this is my first experience. You know, Canadian kid coming to Vegas to do any type of comedy, and I see Jeff. And I thought you were like, I was like, who's that guy? I want to make sure that guy sees me. I didn't even know who he was. I was like, yo, he looks like he signs big acts.
Jeffrey Gurian.
You know who you look like? If you play Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, you look like a character in there who is Phil Collins' agent, like in the game.
Everyone thinks I'm in the music business. I do that in my act. You know, I talk about that a lot. No one ever pins me for what I am. But one of the reasons is because I hate stereotypes. Stereotypes are boring to me, and I hate when you can look at someone and think you know all about them. And I just like
right.
I like people who do one thing and maybe they don't look like the way they think. You know, a long time ago, if you had long hair, you were like a radical. You know, and it always bothered me about stereotypes. So I always like to break it down.
I'm sorry for prejudging you.
No, it's cool.
I am, because I really thought
you judged me for something good. That's why the documentary they made is called "Who the Fuck is Jeffrey Gurian?" Because everybody had this different thing. Mark Maron and John Mulaney both happened to say that.
I took your emails off of the junk mail list, by the way, because I said, yeah.
I
didn't know who you were. I didn't know who you were, dude. And then I was like, oh, Jeffrey. So now they're in the main. Just so you know.
Excellent. I feel good now.
Jeffrey is the man, dude. But you know, like when I watched that, it was great to watch you. Who the fuck is Jeffrey Gurian? And one of the things I admired in it was your like how do you get in with SNL? Well, you went up and said, I have an appointment with so and so, and then you just pushed you you didn't even ask. You just put yourself in that goddamn. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of stuff. If you want to. In this country, if you listen to one thing about this in our country right now, you talk about good feeling and stuff, and there's a lot of folks right now that think they're entitled to shit. This country has always been about, fighting for it and getting it. You know what I mean? And earning it. There's a philosophy that I studied that basically said not everybody can walk on the moon. And there's a reason for that, because you have to have certain character, you have to have certain drive, you have to have certain things. Not everybody can play professional football. Not everybody can sing at the Grand Ole Opry, and not everybody can have a Netflix special.
But I tell all the young, like any young comic, right, that the bitches and complains about not getting the things they want. I say to them, like, at the end of the day, dude, this business, first and foremost, understand that talent, and I hate saying this, but talent is the least of your concern in stand-up comedy because it's so business orientated that they don't understand that. Bookers book two types of comics. They book the guys that can put people in seats and the guys they like to drink with. Those are the only two people that get the most consistent. I'm not lying. If you look at how many times have you looked at a poster and been like, how does this guy get booked? He's not even that good. Well, you know what? I bet you he drinks with the staff. I bet you the staff loves him. I bet you every time he comes here, he goes out with the staff or he goes out with the booker or he does coke with the booker or whatever. I bet you he does something socially inept that keeps him keeps the booker wanting to book him. You know what I mean? Or maybe he puts guys in seats. I keep telling comics, man, look, I get it. If you're funny, it's awesome if you're funny. There's a lot of us who are very funny, but there's a whole other side of it in terms of getting consistently booked and being, you know, some people just like guys who know how to network, right? There are some comics who are talkers.
Exactly.
Right?
I was just going to say that. You have to put yourself out there. You have to make things happen. When you mentioned that story about me up at SNL, you know, I was driving a pimp mobile in those days, and I drove a car that had been made for one of the Isley brothers. And I got confirmation on that in recent years. It was a Mandarin Orange Eldorado. I put a Rolls Royce grill on it, the way the pimps drove in New York in those days. And my wife is like, we're Jewish and we live in Scarsdale. Why am I driving an orange Cadillac? Like, you don't get it. Obviously, you don't get it. And I drove up to 30 Rock and I threw the doorman a few bucks and I said, watch my car. Lorne Michaels is expecting me. And they had no reason to doubt me. And there was no terrorism in those days because these days you can't get near 30 Rock. But in those days, you could pull up right in front of the building. And I snuck past security and I got up to SNL and I showed my films to Alan Zweibel, who at the time we were all kids. And he was, you know, he went on to become a very famous writer, director, producer. And he saw my initial films and sent me to his manager, David Jonas. And that's how I got started writing comedy. But you had to have balls. I could never do that now.
No?
No, you have to be a kid with no cares. Like, you know, I didn't care. I was so driven,
True.
you know.
It's true.
There were only 3 people I ever wanted to meet: that Woody Allen, Salvador Dali, and the Beach Boys. And I made it all happen. I met them all, and I spent an evening with all of them.
But you have to. But you also have to. You also have to not fear rejection. You have to have.
Well, when you're a kid, you have less fear. Now, like I said, I'd be too embarrassed to try to do anything like that if I got turned away. But when you're a kid, you got nothing to lose.
Really, all they can do is kick you out of the building.
Exactly. And in those days, as I said, there was no terrorism. When I went to meet Woody Allen, the stage manager, all I said to him was, Woody's expecting me. And he said, go right in. You know, these days, you'd have to travel with a team of men to get in. You can't get in anywhere.
Yeah.
Because people are so nervous.
Well,
it was a whole different world in those days.
Well, that's the message of the moment. You know, it's not going to just fall in your lap, everybody. You know, it's got to be earned. It really does. You know what I mean? I really do think that. Speaking of earning it, the government's sending us a check for $600.
Yep.
Not
you though. You're not American.
Well, I already got my money from Canada, so I'm happy. They give us till $2,000 a month.
Really, that's great.
There was a recent report that certain countries, if in Germany, if they shut your business down, the government pays your payroll. Basically, if they're going to shut you down, they pay all your bills and pay everything for you.
Really?
I don't think
they would do that.
Even if they wanted to. This country is so big. I think we're probably a lot bigger than Germany.
Yeah,
well, Nevada's going through it. Like there are cats who were approved for unemployment in March and still haven't gotten that money.
I'll tell you, New York City is a ghost town. I don't know if you've ever been here, Trixx. Have you ever been to New York?
Absolutely.
It's crazy. You wouldn't recognize it. I live in a nice part of town. All the restaurants are closed.
Mm-hmm. Where do you live?
In the mid-50s on the east side. And the restaurants, literally, I walked today a few blocks. I don't take the subway. I haven't been on a subway yet. It's not safe. Crime in the city is crazy.
Imagine.
Insane. Every place on the subways, every day, a man swinging a wrench, guy with a knife, gunshots 1 block from me. I mean, there's never been anything like this before. The city is literally falling apart, and so many stores are out of business. The restaurant business is crushed. famous restaurants. The 21 Club just went out of business. Dangerfields, the comedy club for 50 years.
That hurts.
Just went out of business.
That hurt.
I don't know what Tony's going to do. You know, I'm in touch with Richie Tinkin. I did the book on the comic strip with Chris Rock. Chris wrote the introduction to the book. And all the stars that came out of that club.
How is that club going, by the way? How are they looking right now?
Closed. It's been closed since March.
Yeah.
There was a murder at the Strat last week.
Really?
Yep. Murder at the Strat.
I was doing a podcast from the stage of the comic strip. I started this new thing just before COVID. And my last guest was Ron Bennington from SiriusXM. And then at that time in March, nobody was really afraid. We were starting to get nervous about it. The word came that there's this kind of serious virus, but people were still lining up. Like 2 days before I got sick, I went to see Seinfeld at the 92nd Street Y, and there were 600 people there. The auditorium was packed. Nobody was social distancing, no masks, nothing. So,
what you know, I don't know if New York, you know, a lot of people say, oh, New York, California,
Florida.
You know, Florida's fine, man. We're doing great, baby. Everybody's moving here.
Yes.
Question.
300,000 people moved out of New York. 300,000.
Yeah.
Moved out of New York.
Is Atlanta? Is there no corona there?
Atlanta?
Dude, they're partying like they're New Zealand. Like there's no. The videos of friends that I know that live in Atlanta, the parties they're having in clubs, it's like they're wide open over there. And I'm like, how are their numbers? What's going on over? And I've always wondered that.
No, I haven't looked, but it's crazy, man. Once you've had that, you know, I have antibodies. I just found out 2 weeks ago. I went for a blood test, and I still have them after 9 or 10 months.
That's impressive because a lot of people are saying it only lasts. Some people last 2 months.
Mine are gone.
They don't really know how long, and they don't know what they do either. The doctor said to me, I don't know if this will protect you from getting it again. So I'm just really careful. It doesn't mean that you won't get it. It might mean that if you do get it again, that you might get over it easier.
It'll fight it.
Antibodies, but I don't want to take the chance. I mean,
no, you can't. You know, my wife took I took the test. I had it, and I don't have them anymore after a week or so ago. My test. My wife still does because she had it with me. It usually depends on the severity of what you had. But even one of my doctors said, he goes, even though you may not have the antibodies, you have the T cells that have it. And like muscle has memory. So the minute you get the virus, your body goes into that, it remembers it and it starts developing the antibodies. And you know, who knows? But like you said, most of the time, it's very rare somebody will get it twice. But listen, this isn't a show about.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I got after testing negatives, I had about a 3-hour stint of shakes.
Yeah,
that happened to me. But I mean, I drank tea and it was gone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're very lucky, man. It's great. It's great that some people didn't have to suffer. How is your wife, Dougie? Did she get it also?
She had a little bit of a fever, but then same lost sense of smell and all that, and then she was fine. Moderna vaccine is out, so now I mean, I wouldn't suggest you need to take the vaccine. I would imagine your antibodies are strong. I don't think you're going to take the vaccine, are you, Trixx?
Here's where I'm at with the vaccine. If they do a thing where you can't travel, because I travel, and I'm big on that. So if they say you can't travel without taking, because I know there's some airlines that are already saying the vaccine needs to be passport, right? Mm-hmm. If it's that, then I gotta take it because I gotta travel for work. But if I don't have to, no, I won't take it.
Well, what kind of shows have you been doing during the pandemic? Are you doing shows outdoors, or are you doing limited attendance shows?
Limited comedy clubs, limited seating. You know, your loony bins and your clubs in Canada, and you know the houses of comedies here in all those places. But I do shows in England. I do shows in the Caribbean. I do shows across the world. So
that's great.
I have to. If again the vaccine is a possibility for me, but I'm definitely not going to be the first in line for it.
Well, yeah, they have this whole new system now. It's going to go to the nursing homes, and they're trying to figure out who's going to get it. There was actually a big fight in Congress between Rand Paul and AOC. You know, she's one of your darlings in New York, Jeffrey. But she wanted it. She says we should get it because we're the leaders. And oh my God, And then, but Rand Paul said, "I already had it. I don't need it. You know, this should go first to the elderly, to the healthcare. You know,
Yeah,
like
the people who really are in jeopardy from it. Of course,
yeah,
look how many elderly people died in the nursing homes. Just horrible,
yeah.
horrible. And they haven't been able to have visitors for a year almost.
You know, there's a lot of people. There's some people, conspiracy theorists, that say that it happened on purpose. Yeah,
What happened on purpose? The virus?
no, well, that too, of course, but
I believe that. I think
yeah,
China let it go, man. I
yeah,
do.
it was an
It's,
equalizer.
it's too much of a coincidence that they have a viral laboratory in Wuhan, China, and it just happens to come from there. I don't think it had anything to do with the bats. They're really trying to do stuff in our country, and it's really messed up. Really messed up.
We don't want to get me in the part of wanting to unpeg the U.S. dollar and the Chinese cryptocurrency and all that, but yeah, I think so. But you know, people said that they think there was an aspect, the Illuminati aspect, that let's get rid of the dead weight, let's get rid of some of these old people in these nursing homes. Who knows? But I listen. I'm not going to worry about taking the vaccine. Like you said, that would be a good thing. If you want to travel, listen, I would take the vaccine if I didn't have to wear a mask and I can go anywhere I want without somebody saying some shit. Like, if you had that, you should, like, if you get the vaccine, you should have like I don't want to say put a star on you. That's kind of symbolic.
Yeah, right. That would work.
That's not good.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of identification to prove you've taken it, or a certification that you've taken it, or some shit.
So maybe
there's a lot of angry people, man. There's a lot of crazy people in the street. If they see you without a mask, or even if you ask somebody to put on a mask,
they get mad at you. Yeah,
fights have broken out. I mean, people are insane. Everybody's on edge, man.
Yeah.
You see what's happening in UK now? There's a new strain, a deadlier strain. So now they're banned from like everywhere.
Yeah.
Except New York, they didn't ban them from New York, and people are really. It's already too late. It's like what happened in China. When they knew that they had the virus, they let 5 million people travel. At that point, it was already too late.
Yeah.
5 million people go all over the world. There's no way that that's not going to spread. So it's already too late, because people came here from the UK. They had 24 planes landing already per day, and they didn't check anybody to see if they have anything.
Yeah, it's gotten me so worried I threw out my English muffins. I didn't even want those things in the fridge.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much.
You hate me because it's funny. You hate
fries, though, right? You kept your French fries.
Yeah, I hate the French fries. Those are fine.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Speaking of hate, did you guys catch Tom Cruise's rant? Did you get to hear the rant?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was.
I didn't hear the rant. What happened?
He was very angry because there were people on his set that were not taking precautions against COVID. They weren't wearing masks. They weren't social distancing. And it seems that he got the okay to do this film, Mission Impossible. And the whole movie industry is depending on him to do it safely. And
right.
So now he's got people on the set that are not following directions. And he was cursing.
Yeah.
He said, "You're going to be fucking fired if I catch you not doing this. You're going to be fucking fired." So people are freaking out that he cursed and that he yelled at people.
Well, he didn't just curse. It was more of a berating. It was a...
Yeah, well, he was threatening them. And I can understand. It's his responsibility. Everything's on his shoulder. It feels like, he said, it feels like the entire movie industry is resting on his shoulders. His responsibility.
Well, that's what happens when you get a godlike complex like Tom Cruise. His counterpart, what's her name? Leah Remini, the actress who was with Scientology, came out and said it was a political stunt. It was basically all just to sell more of the movie to get some attention. Which is
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't see how that sells the movie. Like, I don't have interest in seeing Mission Impossible because he created him. I think he did the right thing, man. At the end of the day, they're letting you guys go back to work and do something that has been restricted for quite some time. Take it seriously, man. I don't wrong him at all. I think he's absolutely right.
Let me try to create a similar situation. The four of us, the three of us. I'm sorry, I keep looking at the empty box on the screen. The three of us.
Hey, Chris, you look great, Chris.
Chris lost a lot of weight during COVID. You can't even see him. But the three of us, we're all doing a show, and let's say somebody on the show just ran the light, and we're all sitting there. We're next, and we're going, okay, well, who's going to figure out how much time we're going to do?
Listen, I can't believe you said that. I had that happen to me today. The guy in front of me did so much time. It was so horrible. that I had to actually interrupt him. I said, hey, it's a two-man show, you know? I had to say it on air in front of the audience because, first of all, he was stumbling and mumbling. We had 1 hour. We had a host and 2 comics. So each of us was going to do 20 to 25. At 35 minutes, he left me 15 minutes, and I was the headliner. So I had to fucking interrupt, and I was really pissed off. I apologized to the people who hired us because I said, this is not professional, and I had nothing to do with that. He's not somebody that I brought in. He's somebody.
But if you didn't stop him,
I still would be waiting to go on. I had to do something that it was really hard for me to do that. I don't like to interrupt anybody, but I said on the mic, hey guys, it's a 2-man show.
Well, that's my point.
Said, and then he wrapped it up. You know?
Well, that's my point. Jeffrey spoke out. It was a Zoom meeting. At a show, do you speak out when somebody does that, or you just got asked none of my business? Somebody else will learn the lesson.
You know what? Okay, for me, it depends. It depends. The comic, and for me, it depends where. If it's at a well-known club, and the comic is let's say he's a feature who normally headlines, but he's featuring. I take it as the etiquette. You've been in the business long enough, so you're clearly doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? Versus a young comic who's featuring for the first time, and it's just having fun on stage, and he's not doing it maliciously. He's not doing it unintentionally.
Caught in the moment.
He's just caught in the moment. Or, I mean, he might have missed a light. There's some comedy clubs that have shitty placements of where their lights are, right? So it depends on the circumstance. But if I know that you're doing it, for example, like no disrespect, like Jeffrey, you've been in the game long enough. If Jeffrey's ahead of me and he's going over he was told, I was there when he was told, dude, you're doing 20 minutes. And now we're on 30 minutes and he's still on stage. I know he's doing it on purpose because he's been in the game long enough to know.
Exactly. And I would never, ever.
And I would say something. That's when I would say something.
To me, it's really obnoxious. It's such an ego thing. And,
right.
And it's one thing, even if the person's funny, this guy was like searching for things to say.
Yeah.
It was like reaching for he couldn't even think of anything else to do.
Yeah. So you're not even in the moment. Now you're just doing it. Now if you're not even in the moment, I would have done. I'm glad Jeffrey did that because you had to.
I was so angry. I'm sitting here in a box like we are now, and I'm waiting, and I have my mic because I even on Zoom I held a mic so it would feel real, and I stood up in my writing room here, and I was really so ticked off. It really, really was. Now in a comedy club, it's different because sometimes the show can go over. So the show might run an extra 10 minutes, and you'll get a chance to do your set. But when they tell you have 1 hour on Zoom,
that's it.
You have to honor that, and that's why I interrupted him. Even the host wasn't paying attention to the time. I had to interrupt him too, and I had to say,
because look, even at Garrett's, right? Like when Brad Garrett himself is hosting, he will go overtime. He will do it, and I don't know which one of you guys are going to tell Brad to get off, but.
Not if you're in his club. You can't.
But exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It depends on the circumstance. I've seen Brad do 45 in front of the headliner, and it's like, but he's killing, and it's his club.
Right.
So
you have to,
have to respect that.
Obviously, I wouldn't say anything in a situation like that.
Not at all.
But again, a show can run late. But sometimes the club owners don't like when it runs late because then they have to pay the staff overtime. And they would rather especially if there's another show afterwards.
Yeah.
But Brad knows. That's what I'm saying. So with him,
of course he knows.
You never really get mad because he knows how late and how long they can stay. So he does it within that reasoning.
Right. And it's also because he's funny, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Plus the crowd's there to see him. That's another reason you can't say anything. They're there to see him. And at the end of the day, you can't argue if Chappelle shows up and does an hour in front of you.
He did 7 hours. Yeah. Chappelle did 7 hours at the comic strip.
Of course he did. Yeah. I've seen Chappelle at the comedy store in LA where I'm just going to come on and do like 10 minutes, and 10 minutes turns into an hour and a half. Wow. But people are running down the stairs and filling up his room because of him. So you can't exactly, even you as a fan who's supposed to go next, you're like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course.
Stay on.
You're going to be that asshole who goes, get that guy off the fucking stage.
when talent is
so we can
on,
hear you.
when,
No,
when talent is on, you appreciate it. As another
exactly.
performer, you always
Yeah.
appreciate when somebody's on. But when somebody is horrible,
The complete opposite of
that's
that.
what really bothers you.
Exactly, Jeffrey. The complete opposite of that is the lingerer, the person that can't close. They're trying to close on something and nothing's working, so they keep going to another joke.
Yeah, somebody told them that don't leave until you get a laugh.
Yeah,
So they're on there for 3 months. Right?
yeah,
Exactly.
exactly right. The last topic before we get into the news, real quick, folks, is hallucinogenics. I guess it's in Oregon, right? In Washington State, they allowed now the decriminalization of mushrooms and heroin. So, Jeffrey, I don't know why I'm starting with you when I'm talking about the topic of hallucinogenics, but you would look like
stereotyping. I get it.
Yeah, I am stereotyping. I mean, have you ever done any hallucinogenics?
The closest I came to hallucinating was when I had a high fever. And I was hoping that I was hoping they were gonna outlaw high fevers so that I could get better quick and go home because I didn't want to break the law.
Yeah.
You know? No, I did acid like when I was a kid once, and I did it on the holiest of the Jewish holidays, which was such a stupid thing. And I did it with my friend who had done like about 100 trips, and I trusted him, and I hitched to his house. I was very rebellious. So of all days, I picked the high holidays. And they don't call it the high holidays because he's supposed to get high. They call it the high holidays because it's a very holy day in the Jewish religion. And so he says to me, okay, so we took this Osley acid, and it takes a while to kick in. And I still, to this day, I don't know why he said this to me, but he said to me, let's get in our underwear and just hang out and be comfortable, right? And that made sense to me. And so I get in my underwear and I'm sitting on the floor, and his parents walk in, and his father says to me, who are these naked people? And just about me. And he thought we were gay. And because my friend yells out, he didn't know his parents were there. He goes, Jeff, I'll be right in with the drinks. So his parents think that they busted us in our underwear with drinks.
Circle jerk party.
It was ridiculous. And it was a trip that lasted about 12 hours, and I never did it again. I was afraid of flashbacks.
Did the parents hang out, get high too? I mean, at that point?
The parents made us get dressed because it was the Jewish holidays. And he said, why aren't you in temple? And I made up an excuse that temple was closed for the holidays. It's like telling people that church is closed for Christmas, It made no sense. And he made my friend get dressed, and his acid was already kicking in. So he put on all clothes that didn't match. Nothing matched. And he combed his hair straight up in the air like I wear now, but no one wore it like that in those days. And he looked like a lunatic. And his father said, I want to talk to you about your values. And he's like, Dad, do you mind if we do that later? We really have to go. And we went to a park, and I was freaking out by that time. Because it was my first trip, and I didn't know what to do. And he said to me, don't worry, hold this stick. And if you feel nervous, squeeze the stick, and that'll bring you back to reality, right? All of a sudden, it starts to fucking pour out of nowhere. It was a nice day. It starts pouring rain. I'm squeezing the stick. Nothing's happening, right? So we ran to a diner, which was filled with all Jewish kids, all dressed up for the holidays, and I'm wearing an army jacket. It was a ridiculous day, man. Wow. It was like, it just went on. I finally went home to change, and we had to walk past my parents, right? And as I go into the house, I said, look, Dave, you got to talk to my parents because I can't even speak. I can't say anything, right? And I went into my room. I wanted to put on nice clothes to show my respect. I put on like very lame clothes, nothing hip. I didn't want to be trendy. I just wanted to put on clothes. And a song came on the radio, Black is Black. And I thought I was going to die because you get very crazy when you're tripping. And I really thought I was going to die. And I went down in the street, and that's when I started. I laid down on the sidewalk. And from that time on, for many years, I would lay down on the sidewalk wherever I went, just because things look
coping mechanism.
Well, things look very different when you're laying down on the sidewalk. And in those days, like when you're experimenting with hallucinogenics, you want to experience things in a different way than you've ever experienced them before. So that's a very long answer to your story. I did experience it once, never did it again. It was too scary for me, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I don't think you should be taking hallucinogenics because the minute a man says, get in your underwear,
Yeah, right. I know. Isn't that strange? To this day, I have no idea why he thought that.
I had some karate friends like that. These guys, this is back in the day. I posted that photo on Facebook back in my 20s when I was actually competing in Taekwondo and to the Olympics and stuff. And I had, it's like you remember stuff like that. I remember I would go, like all these we're all working out and shit. I'm not going to go to somebody's house and take my shirt off. So the one guy always took his shirt off. He's all ripped. Of course he does.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
whatever he can. And then our other buddy, my other buddy John's like, I said he takes his shirt off. I'm like, do I have to take my shirt off? What's happening here? This is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. By the way, guys, that's the time for our topics. Now it's time where the news is a joke. This is where you know news stories, Jeffrey, but this is where we basically go over some headlines and try to make the funny from nothing. You guys ready? You guys want to put your comedic caps on?
Do my best. See, Trixx already has his cap on. I can't do. I can't do hats.
Yeah, you don't wear them.
I'll do my best though.
Well, this is a great story. North Carolina fraternity members and students allegedly traffic over $1.5 million in drugs. Anybody surprised that people in college are doing drugs?
Were they white?
This was the North Carolina universities of Duke, and so that would probably be a yes. And I don't want to be like stereotypical, but the minute I hear Duke, I think Duke lacrosse team, right? Because of the story about the Duke lacrosse team raping that chick.
If it was white boys that were trafficking that much, then the times are hard, bro. Because I don't understand. If you go to Duke already, that's a win in itself financially.
Yeah.
If you could afford to go to Duke. So if you're going to Duke and you're still trafficking drugs, that means Duke's mad expensive. And I would never go to that school.
No, it's white privilege, man, because we're so privileged that we can get our hands on large amounts of drugs.
Yeah. If it's black people, it's just, we're just trying to make money.
Yeah, but they're doing it. But again, same reason we do. There's different reasons we do comedy. There's got to be a different reason why you deal.
I don't traffic. There are people who traffic drugs in comedy too.
Oh yeah.
If you think about it, you got to get your weed from somewhere.
I won't mention his name. There's a comic who actually was on the road selling vape pens.
Oh,
like
Lord.
The real, and the actual contain, I'm like, no one's shutting your shit down.
They have it in every field. I used to work for a dentist who was a coke dealer, and he used to snort coke off the dental instruments.
Oh, those are great.
It's in every field. Every field has stuff like that.
According to the news, students at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Duke University, and Appalachian State University, which is in his Ivy League as Duke, helped traffic in more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana, several hundred kilograms of cocaine, and large quantities of ecstasy. Now, that's a college drug.
I'm sure they were the most popular guys on campus, believe me.
Well, listen, if you have coke and ecstasy in your pocket and you're in South Beach,
you got it made.
You've got a weekend.
You got the key to the city.
I can't see you guys.
No?
What happened?
I don't know.
Wait, you closed your eyes.
You pulled your cap over your eye.
Can you guys see me?
I see you.
Yeah, I see you. Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah,
you don't see us anymore?
No, I don't know what's going on. Hold on.
That's so weird.
Are
you on speaker view or gallery view?
I don't know if it's my screen. This is really weird.
Yeah, that's crazy. We see you perfectly.
Yeah, you look at the right click, or where's that? Right click and see if you could change the view.
Dougie, remember when we used to do the news?
There we go.
Yes.
Man robs bank with his chin. And all those crazy stories. We used to have so much fun doing the news.
One story about a man who crossed Europe on a pogo stick.
Pogo stick, exactly. Right? Very rare thing.
Yeah.
Why?
Dentist.
Why did he do that?
Just this afternoon, the Weekly Humorist posted one of my stories. Dentist accidentally extracts man's face, and he tried to cement it back on, but it didn't go on straight. And it was that fast hardening glue. It didn't go on straight, and He's suing for loss of face.
Yeah, and he's got to come back for an adjustment.
Exactly.
Now here's interesting. U.S. judge says parents owe son over trashed porn collection.
That's right.
I read that.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's justice. Is what that is.
Yeah,
that is justice.
It was property, and
it is property. It's your, now when you read the headline, you're thinking it's probably some 18-year-old kid or 15-year-old kid, but it's not. It's a 30-something-year-old man who's separated from his wife.
Hey, Doug.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to get Peter North and Randy West and Kobe Ty and all them people. You know how hard it is to find them on Pornhub. Okay, those are classics. All right, those are like comic books. Right?
It's Seika or Superman.
Don't touch my porn stash.
Seika or Superman.
Right.
But it's really weird. How many people could survive with their parents knowing what they're watching, that they're watching porn? That would be so embarrassing, man. They, not only porn, they found cartons of sex toys. I read that article. Cartons, literally cartons of sex toys and DVDs and VHS. I don't know where he got VHS.
If you are, I think parents need to stop being delusional. Okay, if your child's 30 years old and you think by now he has not seen porn, then you're the dumbest parent ever. At the end of the day, if my kid by 30 has not seen porn, I don't trust him. I don't trust that kid. Right. I'd kick him out for not watching porn.
It's one thing.
Kidding me.
It's one thing to watch porn. It's another thing to collect it. Okay, like
what's wrong with collecting it?
Well, listen,
another thing to share it with your parents. I don't care about watching porn.
Pass that down to your kid.
Yeah.
Who's watching porn with their parents? I don't know.
Okay, you teach the kids when Ron Jeremy was a decent human being, whenever that was.
That's right. And I'm often mistaken for him sometimes.
You know, he used to come down to the Comedy Cellar. I used to see him outside.
Because he probably thought it was a real cellar. Creep.
He thought he was getting some other shit going. Yeah, don't throw out my shit, man. Italian woman mauled to death by 5 pet Czechoslovakian wolf dogs.
What the fuck is a 5 pet Czechoslovakian wolf dog?
Crazy. I read that story too.
What is that?
These are all very fun stories you found. I read that story too. She had 5 fucking wolves. These are part wolf and part dog. Right. And somebody at the end of the story, some scientist said that it would be better off if they just killed all those dogs because they're not trainable. They're very vicious.
Oh, they were her pets?
It's inherent. Yeah, she had 5 of them. And they mauled her to death.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen when you put leashes on them and they get together at night and go, "We're gonna fuck this bitch up one day." That's ridiculous. Why would you want a wolf in your house? Yeah. I can't feel sorry for people.
They're beautiful looking animals, but but who?
So's an eagle. Doesn't mean I want one.
You have to be insane.
Okay, an eagle's a gorgeous bird. I don't want it in my house, bro.
Right, exactly. 5.
You know what I mean?
5 wolves in your house.
It's bad enough. It's the same people with like, if anyone told me, yo, this person was mauled to death by his pet tiger. Yeah, it's a tiger, bro.
Yeah.
Look how cute chimpanzees are, and that woman had her face mauled off.
Oh, remember that lady?
You know how strong monkeys are?
Yeah. 5 times. I think it says they're 5 times as strong as a human being.
Yeah. Why would you want that in your house while you sleep?
And the weird part about the monkey story is the woman was giving him antidepressants because she was depressed. So he was the monkey with the chimpanzee was loaded with opiates.
Really?
Yeah. By the way,
I remember that. What a horrible story that he ripped.
Listen, you guys. If anything ever happens to me, I just ordered my pet ostrich because I like picking up.
Just make sure that he keeps his head underground. That's all.
Yeah. When I make love to my wife, he doesn't watch.
Stick to the goldfish, man. Just stick to goldfish, bro. They're beautiful, right?
Or turtles, except for the noise. Turtles are great as watch animals. You never hear anybody complain about a watch turtle.
Unless they kick, punch, and eat pizza, I don't want a fucking turtle.
Yeah.
Turtles are so cute. They're that little head that sticks out.
I'm sure those wolves look cute too to that woman.
Yeah, they look like Siberian Huskies. And she was 74 years old. This isn't like a spring chicken, you know.
Oh, these guys are assholes.
She should have known better.
Yeah,
they're assholes. They waited till she was old too.
Yeah, they were watching the old lady like chasing a wounded gelding. You know,
that's ruthless. They're horrible. They're horrible. Yeah. That's mean.
Yeah, don't. If you want to get how about a Chihuahua?
So have you got any other stories about death, about horrible deaths?
No,
Yeah,
this
like-
is a funny story. I think
I was
all,
like, how's it gonna make that funny?
this is on the other end. Trust me. Woman's 334 O boobs won't stop growing, leaving her in constant back pain, and her neighbors wearing sunglasses.
Go back
Um,
again.
And
There's
she's only
300 and what?
5 feet tall, by the way. I read it.
Yes.
Only 5
Did you
feet
say
tall.
pound? Do you say pound boobs or old boobs? You
No,
said 304.
woman's 34 and like they're 34.
Size O. Size O.
O.
Oh,
What's the
34. Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot they go by alphabets.
And you know what O means? Like when you see him when she takes the bra off, you're like, oh,
Oh. Yeah, it's like oh.
oh.
I hate Dougie so much right now.
She actually said she was looking for size P, but couldn't find them.
Jesus
Can you
Christ.
believe that? She has
So-
trouble standing up.
Yeah, these are big, man.
She keeps
So-
tilting over.
Her big breasts have neighbors wearing sunglasses.
Meaning, every time she walks outside, they want to get caught staring at the boobs. It's an old Jeff Foxworthy joke. Kayla Romero said she suffers excruciating pains as her boobs are growing every 1 to 3 months and are so big, her nipples are bigger than the size of her palm.
I don't know what's the worst part of this story. The fact that there are neighbors dumb enough to think that sunglasses is going to stop you from seeing those big tits, or the fact that she's walking around complaining about back pains when your fucking tits are past the letter M. Okay? That's ridiculous. I don't know what to pick on first.
Have you ever been with a woman whose nipples were bigger than your palms?
It's gross.
No,
I leave-
it's not even a thought I want to entertain. There
I'm
was
out.
a story about a guy whose balls were so big that they were on the floor. Did you ever read that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
That
never
had to
see
be-
those.
That had to be a nightmare.
They said he was a real drag.
He had,
I hate him so much.
he had surgery. He had to have surgery because he had to put them in a basket, literally, to walk around, to wheel them around. There's a
Did anybody put sunglasses so they didn't notice the staring?
I don't think anything would help.
Jesus.
You'd have to poke your eyes out.
Oh
Sunglasses.
my.
You could never get that thought out of your mind.
I'm sorry, Dougie. That's funny as hell, though. The neighbors put on sunglasses, really thinking that, you know what? Oh, they're not looking at me. They're wearing sunglasses. That's the
Well,
dumbest.
I'm looking at the palm tree over there in the background.
So stupid.
You know what
bro.
that's like? It's like when they put somebody's picture in the paper and they want them to remain anonymous, so they black out the eyes, as if you can't tell who it is. If you knew the person, when's the last time you recognized somebody by their eyes? It's like, hey, is that Trixx? I don't know. I can't see his eyes.
Yeah,
You know
let's
what I
not. No one's gonna know it's me if you put.
Yeah,
like-
it's ridiculous. They just put black lines over the eyes. Like, you
Oh,
don't
that's
know who it is.
Listen, for years, people didn't know that Clark Kent was Superman. Okay.
Yeah, people
Um,
are stupid.
Yeah. So she said, by the way, it's hard enough trying just to find size O bras, which are also pricey, by the way. Well, that's a lot of material.
No, she should just get. Why don't she just get bed sheets, bro?
Yeah.
And make bras out of those.
Just don't wear bras. at
She
that
needs
point.
to. She needs to
But
invest
she
in a
said they come
suitcase.
down to her waist. She has to wear a bra.
I have a question though. At
Yeah.
any point, did anybody in her life suggest, I don't know, a breast reduction? Did anybody say that to her?
Well, that's very painful. for
Probably can't
women.
she probably can't afford it.
Yeah.
I think it's very expensive.
They have
You know
nowhere to put all that breast meat.
You know
Probably
what else? You know what
25
else?
grand.
You know what else? She probably can't afford. Fucking old bras, bro, because they're huge.
Yeah.
All right,
There
she
you
can't
go.
afford those either.
Yeah, she said it was $108 a bra.
Yeah,
Oh.
reduction. I suggest she
Yeah.
should do that as an option.
Or go into porn. Illegal winery.
Only fans, right? That's the new thing.
She
Only
better have an OnlyFans. That she'd make a killing. She'd be able to afford anything she wanted. OnlyFans. Who's not subscribing to see O breasts?
Yeah. That's it. That's OOO.com. Legal winery found that Alabama wastewater plant, authorities say.
Alabama bad water? No.
What's next? They're going to find a
No.
frozen yogurt distillery at a waste plant.
You're telling me Alabama doesn't have clean water? Are you serious? This whole time?
Yeah.
DeKalb County, Alabama investigators say they uncovered a large illegal winery operating at Rainsville wastewater treatment plant. Now, I like my wines. I'm a wine connoisseur, but I don't know if I want my wine coming from a waste plant.
I don't know if- I don't know if I'm looking for clean water if I start in Alabama.
Yeah.
That's also that. There's also that.
It's at the end of the river, right? When you think about it, everybody's shit and piss from the East Coast of the United States has drained down to Mississippi.
It's like, Dougie, man, I don't know why I went there. I thought I was going to see some sexy women in Dayton, Ohio. Like, shut the fuck up with that shit.
It's like going to India for clean water.
Right? Like, yeah. Bro.
That would probably be my last choice in India.
Oh, my God.
I need to get a gallon of India's finest water. Yeah.
That concept strikes me so funny. Sometimes I look on the internet and I see what's going on in the unsanitary conditions in India. Russell Peters talks about it. He goes, as soon as you get off the plane, you smell it. You know you're there.
Yeah.
It's a fucking nightmare. They have a real shortage of toilets. People still go in the fields. They go outdoors.
Yeah.
In that country, that's one of the worst countries for sanitation.
And wipe their asses with hoses.
If they're lucky, if they got running water. If not, that's why
they got water.
Their left hand, right? Isn't they wipe their ass?
That's why you only shake with the right hand. Yeah,
that's right, because they wipe their ass with the left. My stepdaughter went there years ago on a trip, and she was never the same coming back from India.
Of course not.
Was she studying yoga there? Because I know she's a yoga teacher.
Yeah, she went there while she was learning and going about. Okay, our last story of the day, everybody, is I like this kind of story. Man is jailed after taking jet ski across Irish Sea to see his girlfriend.
Now that's a nice story.
Yeah. And I will jet ski 5,000 miles in.
He thought it was going to take him 40 minutes.
Yeah.
He went from Ireland to the Isle of Man. And he couldn't swim, this guy. He couldn't swim. And he took a jet ski, and it took him 4.5 hours. And after he got to the Isle of Man, he walked 15 miles to get to this woman. And now she said in today's paper, she said she's willing to marry him because if he did all that for her, he really loves her.
No shit.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great story. What some guys will do to show that they really care for somebody that's an amazing story. He doesn't swim, man. He can't swim, and he takes a jet ski. I don't know how anybody could have the nerve to do that.
All I know is there's an Asian massage parlor right next door to his place.
Probably.
He just went there.
Right. He could have saved himself a lot of wetness, right?
Trixx, what's the furthest you went for pussy? Trixx, what's the...
I maybe a 2-hour transit to transit bus ride, but I will say to that man, I commend him for the jet ski, and it better be a hell of a dick suck, because if I get there and she's on her period, I will be so mad.
Can you imagine?
She looked pretty too. They showed a picture of her.
Her looks will be the least of my concern. I just came via jet ski. Okay, so let's get to the loving.
Well, 15 miles.
That would be hilarious.
Let's get to the loving. Because
the guy goes across basically the English Channel on a jet ski, walks 15 miles, gets there, and he goes, "I'm sorry, I'm on my period."
Or I got COVID. I'd be so mad. That's when you really hate 2020. If you travel somewhere to see your girl, she's like, "I got COVID."
Yeah, and he's like, "All right, I'll come back next week."
So what do you do in a case like that? Do you do it anyway? It's like knowing that your girl might have some STD.
Yeah, I sleep outside her house for 14
anyway.
days. I sleep outside for her house for 14 days, and as soon as she's not contagious after the 10th, we're fucking, bro. I don't care. I came there by jet ski, bro. Okay, I'm getting something.
Actually, Trixx, that's exactly what happened. He got arrested because he was on. You're not allowed to go to the Isle of Man unless they give you permission to come. And he snuck onto the island after getting off the jet ski, and they wanted him to quarantine for 2 weeks, and they arrested him.
You have to get permission to come.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Dougie one-liner. It's coming.
You have to say may I. That's the height of politeness. You say may I before you come.
Yep, Dougie. I know it's itching. Yeah. It's coming out. Get it to me.
I'm reaching into my hack gods. Boy, if he had all that build up, boy, that guy definitely had blue balls after being in the ocean for 2 days.
There it is.
And he couldn't fuck her.
What a crazy story.
That's crazy.
Some men will do, huh?
Well,
Good for
gentlemen,
him.
that is all the time we have here on the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. It's been a lot of fun having you both on today.
I appreciate it, man. Good seeing you.
Fun being here with you guys.
Good seeing you again, Jeffrey, and all the best, brother. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you, Trixx.
Glad you made it.
Well, I wish you continued success and all this good stuff that you're doing. That's really so cool.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. And guys, happy holidays. And Jeff, stay away from the guys with acid wanting to get you in your underwear.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do that. Are we gonna give out our websites?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead and give your stuff out.
All right. Well, I want people to check out my new book. I have 7 books, but the last 2 are my happiness series. So this is my first book. It's called Healing Your Heart by Changing Your Mind, a spiritual and humorous approach to achieving happiness. And it's got a meditating dog on the cover floating on an orange pillow.
It's not a wolf dog.
A bestseller on Amazon. And then during quarantine, I wrote 2 books because I had to do something with my time. So my new book is called Fight the Fear, Overcoming Obstacles That Stand in Your Way. And comics know that best, man. You have to fight the fear because fear is a bully and it doesn't want you to accomplish anything. It tells you that you'll never be successful. So you have to be like F you to the fear. Mm-hmm. You can't let fear stop you.
Absolutely.
And that's why I went as a challenge to myself. I went to Japan alone last year, all by myself, and traveling is really scary to me. And I wound up doing 2 comedy shows over there. I was lost every day, but I conquered the fear. I fucking conquered the fear. So that's why I wrote this book. And this book was a #1 release in medicine and psychology. So if you go to Amazon, they're available as an ebook, a paperback, and an audiobook. So thanks. And my website is comedymatterstv.com. There's a new one up there with me and Jimmy Fallon. And there's over 500 videos with me and everybody in comedy. So we got to do one with you, Trixx, one day.
Anytime, man.
And do that. And you, Dougie. And Twitter and Instagram, it's at Jeffrey Gurian. And thank you very much.
Trixx, how many books you wrote, baby?
Absolutely none.
Okay.
But you could, find me on Instagram at comedian Trixx with 2 X's. Trixx on my fan page. And for all my merch, T-shirts and stuff like that, it's trixxcomedy.com.
There you go. By the way, I am going to be seeing some live audiences on Saturday this week. I'm going to be at Cocoa Beach, Florida, looking for my genie in a bottle.
Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Are you still driving everywhere, Dougie? I know you used to drive a lot, man.
Yeah, my name was Ned, the never-ending driver.
Yeah.
I would be in Cocoa Beach, my good buddy Perry Sack, this Saturday. And then, like you said, I got some dates coming up. The Looney Bin in Oklahoma City and in Little Rock. So
shout out to Larry and Terry, man.
Yeah.
I love that club.
Great room, right? Great room.
Great vibe there, man.
The Looney Bin stayed open. They were one of these places. They fought it.
They did.
They fought it and they stayed open, and and that's what it's all about. So
in New York, there's nothing open. You guys are very lucky that you have places.
Yeah.
There's no clubs at all. 0 since March.
Not even bars, like not even.
No, there's no show. There's probably some alternative shows. Did I lose the audio? Do you hear me?
I hear you. I don't know if I heard Trixx there. Back
yeah,
off.
I think Trixx cut out. But no, there's probably some alternative shows. They were doing shows in the park. Danny Zoldan, who owns Stand Up New York, was really ticked off. And he did a couple of 100 outdoor shows, but the police shut it down. And now I think he's suing New York because comedy clubs, they're closed for 9 months.
Yeah.
So, it's a nightmare here.
I won't be surprised if they end up seeing Bill de Blasio hanging from the Empire State Building.
That would be too good for him.
Yeah, he's not well liked. But anyway, guys, thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to follow our show on Twitter.
Thanks,
Wake Up Dougie. And on Twitter, Instagram, Wake Up Dougie Show. Follow me at Dougie Dangerous on Instagram. And my new Twitter handle, because I got suspended from Twitter.
What did you do?
There was a woman who I always say this. I commented on a political post, just very basic, and she basically came at me, and then she said I'm ugly and I'm fat, nobody must love me, and I must be alone all my life.
Just like that?
Yeah, and she was like, hitting me, and I'm like, I would step over your naked body to blow the corpse of Freddie Mercury.
Oh, gee.
Wow.
So that comment got me suspended from Twitter. But now you can find me at Funny Fiduciary, which is my new comedy thing. So we're going to work on that. Guys, thanks again so much. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, great New Year. Wish you guys all the greatest 2021 ahead of us. Okay.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Thanks so much, man. Take care.
Yeah,
Take care, man.
You got it. And to all our listeners and watchers, thank you so much for being a part of our show. Don't forget to go to our fan page on Facebook and on Twitter and follow us. We like to see our audiences build. God bless everybody. Take care. And Chris in the studio.
How's it going?
He left.
We're ready to go.
Let's kick it.
Let's wrap it up. Good night, everybody.
Wake up!